happens when one of the biggest foundations in the world quietly walks away from the Democrats' most powerful dark money network? We're talking about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and its break with Arabella Advisors. What is that? Arabella Advisors is a massive liberal consulting firm that has funneled billions of dollars through a web of nonprofits to shape elections, policy, and public opinion.
Arabella Advisors. This was started in 2005 by Eric Kessler, a veteran of the Clinton White House. Arabella says it provides, quote, strategic guidance for effective philanthropy. Wow. I guess promoting and funding things like abortion is philanthropy to the left now. So Arabella, that's a business, by the way. This is not a 501c3. They're making money here. They're very serious about things, and they manage 5 separate funds or funnels. I like to almost think of them as laundry machines. What you'd be laundering, I don't know.
Glenn Beck breaking it down as only he can. But since early 2021, Arabella's network has been described as the liberal dark money juggernaut, with operating with minimal transparency while shaping American politics behind the scenes. This, despite its ironic attempt to guise itself as a resistance organization, according to an internal memo reported by the Times of India. Gates Foundation teams warned that reliance on Arabella was creating too many risks and that the partnership was increasingly untenable. Capital Research Center, which tracks dark money networks, confirms that the foundation will no longer route grants through Arabella's hubs like New Venture Fund and 1630 Fund. But the move isn't just a technical adjustment. It's a shot across the bow. The Daily Mail notes that Bill Gates, often a darling of the left, is now being accused of abandoning progressives at a time when Democrats are depending on Arabella's structure heading into 2026. So is this about cleaning up grant-making, or is it a strategic withdrawal from a network too toxic even for Gates? Joining us now is author of Control Oligarchs, Seamus Bruner. Seamus, what say you?
Hey, Chanel, it's great to see you. Well, Arabella has been exposed thanks to the great work of people you mentioned, and we've done a few Arabella reports. Glenn Beck did a great special on it. Scott Walter, the Capital Research Center, has written a great book on it. And lately, we've been tracking all of the Arabella money flows. It's shocking stuff. The numbers that are flowing through this network are huge, eye-popping, billions of dollars. And Bill Gates is one of the largest funders. He's given, or his foundation has given, $250 million, over $200 million just in the last handful of years, 5 years or so, to Arabella. And that funds things, like you mentioned, all kinds of abortion advocacy, climate alarmism. A lot of get-out-the-vote activities are done by Arabella. We've found $100 million in get-out-the-vote type behavior from Arabella, which is ballot harvesting and all of that. So depending on the year or the season, Arabella is funding the election stuff. It's funding all of the climate alarmism stuff and any other sort of radical left policy you can imagine. So why is Bill Gates distancing himself? There are certainly many priorities, especially the climate change stuff that he cares about. And this would appear that he's trying to cozy up to the Trump administration. As you said, it's become too toxic. The association with Arabella has become too toxic even with him. And it's notable that he just met with Trump the other day. So he's trying to remain in the Trump administration's good graces. You know, whether this is just for optics and he's distancing himself but actually still supports them, or he's actually had a change of heart, I think it's more the former. But nonetheless, it's a massive blow. And then I'll tell you another, George Soros is one of the other major funders. Arabella has, I don't know, 5 huge funders. A lot of people give money, but Bill Gates certainly among the top, George Soros among the top. I don't know if it's a coincidence that Donald Trump is calling for RICO investigations into the Soros at the same time that Bill Gates is distancing himself from the Arabella network. This is putting cracks and fissures in the left-wing dark money machine.
Talk about the structure of Arabella a little bit. You know, it's not a nonprofit. I mean, they are making money, but how do they do that? How do they attract so much wealth to pour into a group that's not necessarily tax deductible, if you will?
Yeah, so well, Arabella is kind of the name that people use, and they're very hawkish on if you get it wrong, if you don't state it correctly. Glenn Beck said it correct. Arabella Advisors is actually a consultant, and it makes money. It doesn't take money from the billionaires. It is advising. It was 5 when he did the special. They've now got 7. So it's New Venture, Windward Fund, 1630 Fund, Hopewell Fund, the North Fund, and the Telescope Fund. There's a few of them. Those are all 501c3s. So you make the donation. George Soros, Bill Gates, they make the donation to the New Venture Fund. They make the donation to the Windward Fund. Windward, you know, the names are kind of tricky, but the Windward Fund, that's all climate change related. New Venture Fund, that's just the catch-all and the biggest of the 5 or now 7 sister funds. Those funds all pay Arabella Advisors, Eric Kessler, and the people on the board and executives there. They just pay them as kind of like a, you know, as a service fee, I guess. That's how Eric Kessler makes money. But all of the money really flows through those 501c3s, which then doles it out to thousands and thousands of other 501c3s. Well, you know, and it will be things like Black Lives Matter or I did this Kilmar Abrega Garcia rally that was just held. The pro Abrega Garcia rally in Maryland was hosted by an organization called Casa de Maryland, a pro illegal immigration nonprofit. That got $2.5 million from Soros, 12.9 million we calculated from Arabella, Soros, Rockefeller, Ford, the usual suspects.
Wow.
So they just take the Gates money and then and the Soros, et cetera, and then they funnel it into other organizations that are actually the boots on the ground.
So I think you make an excellent point that it's interesting to note the timing of Gates distancing himself from Arabella, cozying up with Trump, and Trump bringing up RICO charges that could be brought against the Soros family and empire. Could be a connection. But then again, these are very small circles as well. You know, once you pass the billionaire threshold, you're friends with other billionaires. So you're probably going to be in the same donation pools as Gates, Soros, and a handful of other names. In this case, though, this looks like a genuine fracture. This looks like they're starting to kind of break off from one another. And I wonder how this is actually going to influence the 2026 election cycle. Arabella seemed to have had some interest in pouring money into elections. Maybe not so much this next cycle.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Soros is a sinking ship. I mean, you've got Alex Soros, who is the heir apparent of the Soros empire. George Soros is on his way down. Maybe Alex will be a little more savvy, but Bill Gates is clearly more savvy than they are. As well, the other funders of Arabella. Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, is a huge funder of Arabella. You saw a lot of these tech guys starting to cozy up, and we did a couple of specials on this earlier this year and before before the inauguration. Why are all these tech bro types cozying up to Trump? The assumption back then and now was that, well, Microsoft antitrust, Zuckerberg has FCC and FTC concerns. Right. Bezos, Amazon has a bunch of concerns. They want to get close with the Trump administration, either to get big contracts or to evade any sort of investigation. But this move by Gates follows. He already did his $1 million inauguration donation. He's already made his attempts to cozy up. With Trump cracking down on crime at the highest and lowest levels, and this, talk about investigating Soros, RICO is a big, scary word for people in this business because it means when you're collaborating with one another to fund or perpetrate illegal activities, you can all be roped into it. A big tell would be if Zuckerberg wants to maybe distance himself from Arabella. Soros has not done that yet. Gates is the first big money person to distance himself. It'll be interesting to see if any more of Arabella's funders, the Arabella network, you got to be careful, Windward, New Venture, et cetera, any of those funders try to distance themselves as well?
We'll have to keep an eye on it. Or I know that you guys over at Government Accountability Institute will keep an eye on it. So we'll touch base with you soon to check in, see which is the next domino. Seamus, thank you.
Thanks, Chanel.
Coming up, Editor-in-Chief at the Post-Millennial and Human Events, Libby Emmons, takes a spin on Headline Roulette. We'll be right back.